This is the Magnium Gear Neo Qube V2, otherwise known as the budget Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic. Where the Lee & Lee case costs $160, this dual chamber case from Magnium Gear is available for just $100. And while it may be significantly cheaper than the 011 Dynamic, this case has plenty of great features, including this vertical RGB strip that can be controlled by the motherboard, as well as a USB-C and two USB 3.0 ports. To start, it can fit any motherboard size you can think of, all the way from mini ITX up to eATX. As you can see from the build I've done here, this case can support up to 9 fans. You've got 3 along the bottom, 3 on the side, and 3 on top with your AIO. There's also the potential that you could do a push-pull configuration here and get a total of 12 fans, but you might run into some space constraints with the top of your motherboard depending on how big the heatsinks are. And accessing the interior of the case, just remove the top panel by loosening the 2 captive thumb screws on the back and slide it right out. Then the side and front panel will lift right out. And in the same way, there's a small top panel to remove, and then the rear panel will also lift right out. Moving back over to the back side here, you can see we have this nice panel here. This actually provides mounting space for any 3.5-inch hard drives you may have, as well as 2.5-inch SATA SSDs. It also acts as a way to cover your cable management in case yours doesn't look as nice as mine. Now with this panel removed, you can see there's plenty of space even for a very large power supply, as well as all these built-in Velcro strips for managing your cables. Obviously, I was joking earlier, my cable management on this one is probably a B- at best. The case also has some really nice rubber pass-throughs here for all of your cables to hide them once they go to the back of the case, as well as some more on the top, and a nice easily removable mesh filter to clean out and keep your case nice and clean. Well, when you create a case that is almost half the price of something like the high-end Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic, there's bound to be some drawbacks, and after building in this case, here's the ones that I've found. Con number 1, the width of this is just a little bit too small for a big dual chamber case, which means if you have an RTX 4080 or a 4090, when you try to put that side panel back on, you're going to come in contact with this connector, and we know how fragile these NVIDIA connectors are, and you really don't want to do that. Let me demonstrate. You'll notice when I put the panel up against the case to slide it back in, it's coming in contact with those wires, which is bad. So instead, you're going to have to get yourself one of these. This is a 90-degree connector from CableMod. You can get it from whatever company you want, but you're going to need one of these to ensure you don't ruin your GPU and make it catch fire. This lack of depth also means you can't fit a rear exhaust fan on here because it's too narrow, and these fans on the side have to be mounted on the back side of this frame in order to make sure that they don't get in the way of your pass-through cables. I also noticed while tightening down some of these fasteners that motherboard plate and some of the metal in general just feels a little bit flimsy. Not quite as nice and structural as I would have liked from a case this large. I also noticed that the case doesn't come with any filters for those side intake fans, so you'll either need to add your own or deal with the consequences of just having some more dust getting into your PC. And lastly, and I know this is pretty nitpicky, but there's no removable tray for installing the bottom or side fans. And this is less of a need for your PC while you're building it than it is just a direct comparison to the Lee & Lee and what they provide in their $160 case versus what you get in the $100 Magnium Gear case. Now for the most important question of this video, is it worth it? After having built a PC in it, understanding the quality of the parts, and seeing all the features and the cons of the Magnium Gear Neo Qube V2, that's a mouthful, I would say it's definitely worth it. If you want that really cool dual chamber look for your next PC, but you're on a little bit of a limited budget, this $100 Magnium Gear case is perfect for your next build. The case looks great and it can fit pretty much any components in it with just a few minor drawbacks. However, if you're going for a truly high-end PC build, then this is no replacement for the OG. The Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic just has every single feature you could think of, as well as exceptional quality, and can fit literally anything that you could possibly want to put in it. So while this is a great deal at $100, it's not a true replacement for the $160 Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic.